Let's get started. I'm Johan in the Netherlands, heading the Steltex technology team. On the other hand, we have Phil. He's going around until the next day in half an hour.
Yeah, I'm based out of Melbourne, and I'm the lead technical architect for the Steltex APAC region. So I look after implementations and service delivery for MS customers. Yeah, predominantly in this region, but as you'll probably learn as we go through the presentation, that's we're a shared team that work across multiple countries, multiple time zones, which we'll get into shortly. So yeah, that's me.
Cool. So welcome everybody. This is I hope you like the conference, the JDE 23, all the new awesome features that have come out on orchestration and on voucher match, and many new things. Today is about the technology platform and Oracle Cloud. But let's get to Steltex. Steltex is a true global JDE partner over all these regions, and we have customers in all these regions, actually, and in even more countries than you see. This is where our offices are, and that also brings me to the topic actually of today, because we're working at a more and more massive scale of JDE systems that we build and maintain. We had to bring it to the next level. And that's what today is all about. So what we've done here is containerize the whole platform. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about what Steltex has done specifically to it, and how we can do a highly accelerated move into OCI, and actually a case study and some more challenges. So let's talk about the platform. Starting 1996, with JDE installs, we used to install servers, and then more and more we went to virtual machines to put all your JDE software on, and you would install an operating system and your applications, which is time consuming, hardware consuming, and more. So what we've done here, I guess, since the last 8 years, we haven't been talking a lot about it, we've just been doing it and moving all the JDE components into containers. So this is a bit, what is a container? Well, a container is basically a standard unit of software to package all your software into one package, including all its dependencies. And what you then do is have a piece of infrastructure and an operating system, and then on that run all your software components as a package, which makes it highly more efficient than anything before. Actually, since the last, it basically makes what I see the old paradigm really almost, it's not obsolete, but it's so much more efficient than previous. From many angles, and we'll talk about that on the next slides, basically.
Yeah, so that's great, Johan. I mean, for the next one, I think what we wanted to run through is Johan sort of set the scene a little bit there around, well, what are containers to start off with. But we thought before we get into what Steltex's version of containerization looks like, just run through a couple of points around, why containers in the first place, right? Yeah, Johan sort of alluded there already to a few of the benefits and features and a couple of the reasons why you'd be wanting to look at containerization, which I don't think is, as Johan said, we've been doing it for a while, but I don't think it's that pervasive out there, in the marketplace, right? I think we're probably one of the few, because it, admittedly, so JDE wasn't ever designed to be a containerized application, right? So we've had to take it and we've had to effectively turn it into or kind of tweak it or modify it to be, I guess, container friendly, if I can put it that way. So yep, we're going to just run through a few points just to give you some background of it. Why containers in the first place? Like, what are the benefits? What are the reasons? What are some of the key points? So we'll just step through these bullets and one by one and sort of talk through some of those benefits. So probably I think coming out of the gate, performance, I think the Steltic solution and the use of containers is almost the best performance you can get at the lowest TCO. And I know that's a bit of a bold claim, but you'll sort of start to see why in a minute as we talk through this. And when we talk about JDE Edwards performance, and I know there's probably a lot of sessions at a lot of these conferences where, tech sessions around talking around performance and how to make JDE Edwards performant and things that you can tweak and things that you can set and how you can configure JDE to be, as performant as possible. But in our experience, the secret, I say in inverted commas, there is what we call close coupling of JDE Edwards containers, which effectively keeps server connectivity and network latency to an absolute minimum, right? And it's this whole concept of JDE Edwards in a box. So immediately by putting JDE Edwards onto separate VMs and running it in that traditional model of having, enterprise server on one VM, batch server on another VM, or logic on another VM, database obviously on a separate platform or a separate VM, and all of those things effectively, as we know, JDE very chatty. All of those components have to talk, right? All of them have to communicate, and we know that happens a lot, especially with batch processing. You can often run a long-running batch job, and it can execute thousands or hundreds of thousands of database calls, right? So what we see is by close coupling JDE within a virtual machine, and we have all these containers, is we just see this kind of huge leap in performance. So that's, as I said, that's kind of like one of our sort of secrets. That's a bit of our secret sauce in terms of how do we make JDE go fast? How do we make it perform so well? We close couple it, we put it all inside of a machine, and effectively we almost eliminate inter-VM latency. And then to add on to that, another benefit of doing that is that essentially we have a serverless dynamic right-sized environment. So what Johan was saying before as well is what we see a lot of is, when customers size VMs, I think everyone's a little bit scared in the beginning. They go, well, we don't know, maybe we're going to need more capacity than we think. So let's size this VM to have, this much memory and this many cores. And when you look across the system as a whole, there's a lot of waste, right? There's a lot of, probably you find a lot of servers are, only in single digit utilization. They're not really being used very efficiently. So there's all that wasted cost of effectively having that compute, having that resource. Our approach is we have, again, you'll see in a minute, one VM, and the containers that are running in that VM take the resources that they need when they need it, right? And those containers will scale dynamically or automatically without us actually doing anything. And therefore, I'd like to say is the solution almost right sizes itself, right? Yes, we might have to flex the size of the actual host VM a little. Maybe we have to monitor that. We have to up it or lower it a little bit, but we're only dealing with one server. So once we right size that one server for a production workload, all the containers running inside there effectively right size themselves and dynamically scales themselves. So the containers take the resources they require when they require it. So I think that's a big reason. I kind of came out swinging with this slide, but this is one of the big reasons, or I think one of the big motivations for containers as a whole, right? Lowest possible cost, but maximum performance, and this whole approach of dynamic scaling. So sorry, carry on, Jan.
Yeah.
Or you got something to add?
Yeah, well, actually, the last couple of months, we've actually seen some UBEs on this platform going 10, 20%, and in some cases even 50% faster. So it is a significant scale.
Yeah,
we're not joking. This is true.
Next one. It's what do we got on the next cost? Yeah. So as we said, or as I said in the previous slide, so we're actually maximum performance, but minimum infrastructure footprint, right? So that's what I was saying about lowest total cost of ownership. So Johan will get onto this a little bit later again, but what we're seeing with a lot of customers, we're actually able to reduce their infra spend all their cost on cloud services and infrastructure as a whole. And sometimes even 50% is, an average number, not even an aggressive number. So because of this rationalization that we're able to do around infrastructure and, customers coming to us with a significant amount of compute, storage resource allocated to their JDE system, and we're able to actually downsize that, we can often cut those budgets in half. So effectively we make the solution do, perform better on less effectively obviously the people who are looking after the wallets love that. We also, by using containers, we're optimizing the use of Tech Foundation to the max, right? We're kind of wringing everything we can out of that Tech Foundation investment. And one of the examples of that is, potentially running multiple standard edition databases in containers, doing different bits, serving up different parts of the JDE system, right? So it might be different environments having different Oracle databases, which are also containerized. And so we kind of maximize the fact that Oracle is saying, well, here's standard edition for you. You can use as much of standard edition as you want. Most customers would probably just deploy a single instance of it. We often, do kind of horizontal scaling of your database to give you that, that kind of maximum benefit. So, so that's the cost element of the solution and sort of how containers. Cloud or platform or cloud agnostic. So, we love OCI, but containers, one of the beauty of containers is they're portable to any cloud, right? So that's the thing is, often you install a system, you tie yourself to a particular cloud vendor. It's difficult to move. It's difficult to get away from that once you're established there. Whereas with containers, as I've said in that second bullet point, the two ingredients you need, Linux and Docker, right? And that's effectively all you need to run a containerized solution on top of that. So, we don't, as I said, we love OCI, but we get customers that come and say to us, well, our strategic cloud of choice is AWS, our strategic cloud of choice is Azure. We don't necessarily want to go to OCI. So we say, well, that's not a problem. Our solution, our containers are basically portable to your platform or your cloud of choice.
Yeah. And you can even run it on-prem if you want to.
Yeah. As well said. Continuous delivery. So another huge motivation around our containers. We maintain our container images in Docker IO. That's our sort of staging area, and those containers effectively get patched with the latest Oracle patches and updates. And so once we have those containers patched and available, they're effectively, once they're in that staging area, they can be pulled to any customer site, right, and rolled out to any customer site or any customer system that are running our solution. So we get a massive benefit over rolling out these changes, rolling out patches, rolling out the latest changes to customers that are at the similar levels or same versions, versus this traditional approach of kind of having to go to each customer system and each server and patch things individually, right? Which is one of the reasons why, and Johan will talk about that in a bit, is why StelTix went down this road, is just because of the efficiencies that we get out of how we manage containers over how other customers traditionally manage, legacy systems or legacy environments or traditional VM-based environments. Whereas, we get these kind of economies, and that's important because we have a relatively small team, and so we need to do maximum with kind of minimum, if I can put it that way. So as I said there, Johan, maybe you can talk a little bit about the StelTix web interface for automating updates, just on that point.
Yeah. Also, I've never been, I've rarely, let me state it that way, see JDE systems that are 100% patched and always up to date with the quarterly critical patch updates. Because, if you start patching at the beginning of the month, it takes you days and weeks to go through all the patches and all the stages everywhere. Well, this container technology just allows you, specifically with a web interface for automating updates. You just say, my development environment will get the critical patch updates by tomorrow midnight. And automatically these containers will refresh from the last piece of software, including all the critical patch updates. And your system is up to date. And it's not even including all critical patch updates, because we have these single containers for all customers. So even if you find like an issue or a potential issue that could be in the software, we fix it once and we roll it out to all the customers that are on it. It's all standardized. So yeah, this web interface allows you to say whenever you want to receive these updates and how and which.
Yeah. Yeah, and the other thing I think with continuous delivery is, I mean, obviously Oracle are pushing this agenda, and I mean, you know, around continuous delivery, continuous innovation. So, you know, I don't think that this kind of initiative is going to slow down anytime soon. Whether that's keeping your platforms up to date, whether that's obviously keeping your JDE tools up to date, whether it's taking on additional releases, you know, release 22, release 23. I think everybody's kind of trying to think about these days, well, how do we adopt a continuous delivery approach to keep current? Because everybody's thinking, well, we don't want to do the traditional 5-year upgrades, or we don't want to wait 2-3 years before we think about, you know, uplifting. So it's that whole pace of change and how you have a process or a methodology to manage that continuous delivery, right? So this helps with that overall challenge at the technology layer, right? And keeping, you know, your system secure, keeping them patched, keeping them aligned with those MTRs.
Yeah, and including the whole IT security topic. We didn't even touch on that. You know, it's war out there at the moment. So you need to be updated and patched. And your security officer will definitely have an opinion on it, that you should actually be 100% patched. All right, next.
The next one's yours, I think, yeah.
Oh yeah, about management and operations. Exactly. So another thing about all the containers, like I said before, all these containers are exactly the same software package of an Oracle database specifically tuned for JDE or WebLogic specifically tuned for WebLogic for JDE, including all the standard settings, including JAS instances, AIS instances, BSSV instances, server managers. They're all 100% standardized from a software perspective. Of course, you can still put all the tuning in that you'd like to do personally, but all the components are 100% standardized. And that's beautiful, because now at each customer, each system is using these containers. I mean, it makes the whole solution incredibly robust. Yeah,
it's not like the old approach, Johan, where every install is a different install, right? Depending on who's doing it, right? Where it's different parameters, different settings, different config, things get missed, things, you know, and so that's why every JDE install becomes a different flavor. Whereas I think what we're taking all those learnings, all those best practices, and every time, you know, we get one of those things, we adjust the container, and then the next time it gets rolled out, we know exactly what's in it, and we know, as you say, it's 100% standardized, and there's sort of no surprises or no room for kind of human error in terms of when things get built, things get rolled out, systems get built, and systems get rolled out.
Yeah, and like the first slide I just showed, you know, the world map where we are really a true global company. We have a true global technology team as well, and everybody in all the countries globally has now all the standard software. And it makes it 100% reliable of what we're doing, because we know what we're doing. We've done that for the last 8 years in containers. Although nevertheless, we keep evolving and improving. And at the moment, it's rock solid, I have to say. At least for the last couple of 4 years, it's incredible. Yeah, also the install is completely automated. So the way we do it, we have a definition file of this is how your JDE system needs to look like. You need these and these containers, these and these environments. And each container gets like a set of parameters, how it should behave, what it needs to do. For example, a web server is being started. You tell the web server where the server manager is, how much memory it needs to have. And it's an empty container. It will kick off for the first time, install all these components, register itself in Server Manager, and you have a web server going. And that's even for a complete JDE system. If you kick off a new JDE system, we give it the parameters of how that system should look like. It will download the components with the latest ESUs, the latest tools, and the system will build itself up in a couple of hours. And yeah, the beauty is we don't even build it up like that. It's also scales. I mean, if you need more web components or more JAS instances, more enterprise servers, you change the definition and you say role, and it will create those web servers or enterprise servers, which allows it to scale down, scale up, whatever is required for your specific environment. That makes it for 100%. Also for Steltex, because we maintain a lot of customers, makes it fully automated. The same thing for availability and recovery. Because we put down one big compute instance, and I'll be showing you a bit how it actually looks like. On that compute instance, all the containers for the production are there. So that means your enterprise server containers, your web containers, your server manager, your database, and everything. So what we do in the cloud, you can just snapshot that and move to a different data center all at once, because it's just a single compute instance with everything in sync. And of course, there are situations where you can have like a real minimum downtime, maybe below a minute. Then, of course, there are other HA products like DB Visit or Data Guard, where we can have like scale the whole JD system out over multiple data centers and run everything in parallel. So basically on every RTO or RPO requirement, we can cover with this technology. Any additions, Phil?
No. Yeah, well, that was good, Johan. Nothing to add there.
All right, yeah. So this is what it looks like graphically, where you can scale out your web servers, your integration servers, and as well, there's this black line between the database servers. We always have separate compute resources for production and non-production. But there again, we can scale, we can update, and patch, of course, like just the Oracle database 19.15.2 is just out. I think today or tomorrow we'll be releasing the database container for the latest Oracle release, where all our customers can now say, you know, I want to refresh my container, and you have the latest, greatest database running again. And of course, you can do it by environment. That's typically how we do it. So yeah, like I said, in 1996, I think Phil was there as well. And I think quite a few others, where the first version of OneWorld started. I still remember when we started installing servers one by one, or AS400s, and it took weeks and days and weeks to get a JD install going. And even to maintain all those servers. I remember some of the installs had over 15 or 20 servers that all had to be maintained and controlled, patched. And if anything on one of those servers went wrong, suddenly it was a big issue. So in 2015, container technology slowly became available, and we actually started rolling out the first containers to our customers, which already we found out, well, this is the Holy Grail. And we haven't been talking a lot about this concept. We've just been doing it, but we've actually been doing it. Although nevertheless, if you look online or learn JDE, Oracle does have some white papers on container technology. It's not completely foreign and completely new. We've just been doing it. And of course, the last couple of years, we're doing automated delivery and fully managed services. Saying that, I think last week we kicked out a complete new customer on a green landscape in Oracle Cloud, and it took us well, within a day, we set up Oracle Cloud, including the complete JDE environment, and it all set itself up. That's how easy it goes. Or how fast it goes. The time to get stuff going is incredible. And of course, the beauty is, because we're using containers, we're not using just containers for JDE, because if you look online, there's a crazy amount of containers available for every product and every
case
you can imagine. Yeah. And one of the containers we always deploy is a monitoring container. We got this monitoring concept, a proxy that we put in on this specific host that will have about 1,200 probes on your JDE system to completely control it. So that whatever happens, it reports it to the Steltex central monitoring console, that there is something going on. There's container management containers, there's print server, CUPS containers. We've been deploying dummy mail client containers where you just have one mail client for all the non-prod environments. So non-prod cannot send out emails, but all the emails, you know, end up with this one web interface in a small container. And even our mobile platform, AppShare, has a container potentially within infrastructure for JDE. And more. We actually built, like it says on the slide, JDE as a service. It's almost a platform for JDE. It has become a platform for JDE. So this is about in schematics how we what's happening. So at Steltex, where we build, update and patch our containers, actually in a kind of source code. We publish everything into GitLab, and we don't publish to GitLab for nothing, because we actually do a lot of quality management, what goes into those containers. And GitLab, GitHub, and all those code repository tools help you a lot by guaranteeing and knowing who and what was changed and when. So there's a lot of QA before anything actually leaves Steltex. And from GitLab, it's getting published in Docker.io, which is a container staging area. It's publicly on the internet. And from there on, with any JDE system or in any cloud, we can pull these containers and to continuously refresh. And within that, like I said, there's a web interface. You can see which containers are available and say, well, I want to update my database or my WebLogic or my server manager to the latest, greatest, and it will pull it from Docker. And we do it from a lot of customers as well. Just ask them for permissions, like, should we update your system, and click OK, and it will be updated. And in parallel, of course, from our managed services, we check for vulnerabilities. And like I said, there's a monitoring proxy in there as a container as well that reports everything in our big monitoring system, also in the cloud, where we have a massive console. And as a customer, you get a console as well. You can see what's happening. And this is the way that we truly make sure that within this whole platform, your JDE is always up and running. And whatever we can improve, if there's exceptions that we never seen on monitoring, we'll build it. So this is a continuously iterating process, I think for over 12 years almost, where this whole monitoring and the controlling of everything. So to keep everything on control and make sure it actually always works 24/7 around the clock. And of course, because we're now a true global footprint, there's always people awake and helping out if anything happens. Let me quickly show you how it actually operates at the customer side or a real JDE system. This is one of the web tools. Oh, it wasn't even listed in the previous set of containers. It's container as well, where you see a lot of containers running a whole JDE system. And as you see here, there's a test host and a production host, and the sources of all these containers. And it's as you see, all these components are here, nice snoozing, making sure the JDE system is always online. I guess.
Thanks, Johan. Thanks, Johan. Yeah, so often we get to, often we talk to customers about, the containerized solution, a lot of what we discussed, and then inevitably we do hit the point of around, well, that all sounds great, guys, fabulous, but how do we get to that solution, right? There's a perception of, yeah, that's going to be hard, that's going to be tough. How are we going to do the upgrade? How are we going to do the migration? All the inevitable associated steps to that. So over time, and what we've also done is come up with an accelerated upgrade approach, right? And this is just really these 4 steps give you a high level overview. So what Johan's pretty much walked you through is we can now build one of these systems in hours, not weeks, right? So traditionally, when you start a new JD Edwards install or you start an upgrade and you got to deploy infrastructure and start downloading software and doing all your traditional install tasks, even the best case scenario is like something like 1 to 1.5 weeks if you kind of really put your head down and you go at it pretty hard, right? But it's more likely potentially 2 or 3 weeks. But effectively with pre-built containers and automation, effectively we can get a system, a vanilla up-to-date, patched up, code current system in place within, let's just say, half a day max, right? End to end. So that cuts down on that whole timeline up front that's required to do all of that setup, that traditional setup. Then in terms of actually getting your code across, effectively we take an approach of not doing the traditional upgrade tasks where you would run through a planner and an upgrade plan and you would then move everything using that mechanism. We effectively just take your customizations out of your existing system as PAR file, in a PAR file, as an export file. We bring it into your new system that's now fully up to date, and then you can essentially do the retrofit activities in that new system to get it to bring in those customizations and effectively integrate them into that new environment, right? Which again cuts down on that traditional upgrade process and upgrade timeline. And then normally what we propose for phase 1 is it's a like for like rehooking of interfaces. So often if there's an aggressive timeline, you want to get this done in a couple of months or something like that, then you might just remap existing interfaces and you're not reworking any functionality in that space. But that's always possible, or you kind of come back and complete that as a phase 2. And then, like any good plan, there's testing phases along the way, maybe an SIT, a UAT, et cetera. So there's obviously testing phases and quality checkpoints along the way. And then just in reference to data, if you're doing inevitably, if you're doing a cross-platform migration, what we're talking about here is normally it's an Oracle Linux-based system on OCI. But if you're coming from another platform like an iSeries or a SQL, then yes, we would look to use other tools potentially to aid with the replication and the movement or the translation of the data from a SQL Server environment or an iSeries environment, or even a legacy Oracle environment or something like that, where we can keep your data or replicate your data into a cloud environment in real time. And by doing it that way, we can almost perform a zero downtime cutover, right? Because there's no big sort of time window required to do that final data migration. So if you are thinking about it and you've potentially had reservations over thinking, yeah, how am I going to do the upgrade? How am I going to get there? Then, definitely we can help explore this further if it's something that you want to have a look at. And quickly, we thought we'd throw in a couple of slides around OCI, and I think just because Johan and I have had now probably a good 5 years of experience, and sort of I'll talk to my experience and Johan can talk about his. And I was around when, and I had a couple of customers who had a crack at Gen 1 when Oracle Cloud was Gen 1 before it became Gen 2, and it was as horrible as what everybody said it was, and it was as flaky as what everyone said it was. And I think that obviously put Oracle on the back foot when it came to Gen 2. And I think they were a bit of, I call them a bit of a dark horse, right? No one really, I think in the early days, everyone was a bit reserved about saying, well, no one wanted to be first potentially. So, and I think we were continuously having those conversations around, well, you know, how does Oracle compare to AWS? How do they compare to Azure? You know, and I think we can kind of safely say now that we've got enough customers under the belt that we know OCI's proven reliability, proven stability, proven performance, and all of these kind of equivalent features at a very competitive price point. So I think that whole kind of cloud comparison thing is starting to go away, just because, yeah, I mean, Oracle Cloud, I think now is enough runs on the board to have shown that, you know, they have the stability, they have the performance, they have the reliability. So yeah, we're finding, you know, based on that, there's just a much better level of comfort there than maybe what there was a couple of years ago. I think, is it the best platform for JD Edwards? I think Oracle are definitely providing a lot of, if I can call it, motivational carrots, and some of them are great. Like, you know, one of the new ones are price discounts for some of their other cloud services like Autonomous DB or Identity Cloud Service. So if you are a JD Edwards customer, you get steep discounts for using some of those cloud services, and I think which can be a big motivator. We're also seeing more and more Oracle and Oracle features. So as Johan was saying, in release 23 or tools 927, we're seeing a lot more Oracle database specific functionality for JD Edwards to help with reliability, specifically around connection handling, connection reestablishment, those sorts of things. So, you know, Oracle definitely investing in the Oracle technology stack for JDE, right? And I think you lose some of those benefits if you're, you know, on other platforms, on other databases. So there is some motivation there. And then obviously being on OCI and it's Oracle Linux on Oracle Cloud, on Oracle WebLogic, on Oracle JD Edwards, it's the benefit there, of course, is it's, you know, it's one throat to choke, or it's, you know, it's no finger pointing in terms of when you have an issue. It's like when you're in your Oracle top to bottom. So it gives you that level of comfort that you're in a 100% Oracle ecosystem. So yeah, so that's my sort of perspective on it. If you have been thinking about, you know, is OCI for you, or what, you know, we had some sort of thoughts about it, but maybe Johan, you can give your view as well.
Yeah, I make my own slide. Yeah, Oracle Cloud. My personal opinion, I've worked in various clouds and of course on-prem and I'm doing this work for a long time. But what I see is the Oracle Cloud is really perfect for enterprise workloads. I see other clouds have sometimes more features, they're more expensive, and I've seen also more performance challenges, but within Oracle Cloud, the way they build it up, and it's a relative new cloud. And I see it on the technology that they're using. It's definitely a winner on networks and performance, what you actually get from these systems. It's incredibly fast. Another major benefit I'm seeing within Oracle Cloud is scalability. I'm seeing within other clouds that you have to get a specific virtual machine, and if it doesn't fit, you have to replace it with another virtual machine. And all those components that you get are never 100% what you need. They're almost close to what you want. And so you pay more because it doesn't exactly fit. Within Oracle Cloud, your compute instances and also the performance of your disks and a lot more can just scale on the fly, which makes it very, very convenient. So specifically with the container platform that we built in to make it really scalable and actually that you pay for what you use. And there's less and less overhead. And specifically within Oracle Cloud, I really think it's a sweet spot for JD Edwards. And of course, Azure is far better for Microsoft Office and Office 365 and those kind of things. But specifically for JD Edwards and other similar enterprise workloads, I would go for Oracle Cloud. That's what I see. It's definitely the winner here. So I did take one case study from a recent cloud move to Oracle Cloud. It's a Plurifarm. They're a wholesale pharmaceutical product. They deliver to pharmacies and hospitals. And yeah, well, I did. There's a quote there from the IT manager. He really sleeps better. Well, basically, we did, and it wasn't a massive project actually. We did it in. I have to say, we did it in 3 months. But there's a lot of space for people who went on leave and where the project was slow. So yes, from the beginning, really from day one until the go live was 3 months, but there was a lot of space in it even. So
and they were coming off on-prem on an on-premises environment, Johan?
Yeah, they were coming off on-prem and the hardware was outdated. And we had a discussion, where did we go? And we said Oracle Cloud is definitely the best. So they run about 20,000, almost 20,000 UBEs a day, 50,000 picks per 500,000.
Yeah.
per month. Some of them are by robots, and quite a few manual picks are with AppShare, our mobile platform that allows in the warehouse as well for scanning and many other things. They run, a lot of sales order lines, orders, and like you see, it's just running in production on 8 OCPUs just because of this platform, and 192 gigabyte memory. And they still, performance is really good at the moment. So it's a massive cost saving for them, and it's so much more robust than what they had on-prem. And specifically, if you're a wholesaler on pharmaceuticals, the hospitals actually need the pharmaceuticals and the pharmacies, of course. It's a big deal. So this was a very nice project, and everybody was happy about it. Next steps. So I would love to help you out, joining one of these customers, running on our platform, running a minimum footprint, and containerize your JDE system. Having less hardware, having far more performance, and really maxing out the Oracle licenses that you already bought for your technology foundation license. So what we said, if you fill out those questions in the questionnaire, you can download the PDF, of course, of the conference website, send it to info@steltix.com. We'll help you getting a real decent estimate for what it costs for you. And you'll be amazed. I've been working with various customers who got a cost saving of 50%, one even 60%. That was incredible to justify a return of investment in at least within a year, getting a project, some even within a half year, doing a project like this. So it's actually amazing. You should definitely try it out. It's worth it. So we put up some questions. If you give us this information and send it to info@steltix.com. Of course, we need to know what your recovery requirements are, the size of your database, maximum outage. If you need to do anything fancy on the cutover, or maybe specifically within Oracle Cloud, or if you say I can keep my recovery under 10 minutes, then we can do it really plain vanilla, easy. So yeah, depending on what you give us, we'll definitely love to help you getting the benefits from this technology.
That's great. Thanks, Johan. Anyway, if anybody's got any questions, feel free to unmute, and happy to. I think we've got about 10 minutes. So if there is anybody who wants to have a chat, yeah, we're around for a bit. got a question here. Yeah, is your tool to containerize or for automation as well? You can unmute yourself if you want.
Yeah,
I think it's. Let me see if we can just go participants. Or maybe just answer, Johan, if you want.
Sorry, can you rephrase that? I was looking at unmuting people.
Yeah, hi. My question was that your tool or whatever you guys are, whatever you're trying to showcase to us today, right? Is it only to containerize whatever I've already automated, or can I use your tool to automate my processes and some other things and then containerize that?
Yeah, well, it's basically to automate the containers. It's we're kind of automating the containers for your running your technology platform.
I wouldn't say it's a tool, right? I think it's more a methodology or a process, if I can put it that way. So we have a methodology or a process that delivers a JD Edwards solution in a containerized form, rather than it necessarily being like a tool. Yes, there are tools and there's scripts and there's automation and there's all of those things are built into it, but the end solution is a containerized JDE system that gets managed in a much more, efficient way than what it would a traditional solution. So yeah, that's the outcome.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Well, if there's no other questions, Johan, we can probably call it a call it a wrap.
Yeah. Well, thanks everybody for joining. I hope you also enjoy the rest of the conference. There's a lot of cool things going, and other nice sessions, I guess. So thanks for joining. Yeah. Phil, you made it to the next day, half an hour ago.
Yeah. Well, thanks everyone.
Have a good night, and everybody else. Thanks for joining.